my God.
That's not enough. You have to create, and it has to be better than what you were disrupting. That's a lot to do with an optimistic attitude after what we've been through. So, get ready.
I am not a studying person. I don't read and consume. I have an excuse that I know is based in... It has to do with alchemy. So many people ask me, how do you do that? How do you see that? How do you know that? I'm sorry, that's not the answer you want. I know it's not. If I could control it, I'd be a problem, probably, though. Because that's what the people who are asking want. They want to control it. That's not what our role is here in the world. When you see it, when you feel it, when it comes to you, however it does, you'll know it. And most of us do the right thing. But if you're trying to have a PhD in it, if you're trying to harness it, if you got this lasso and you want to channel it or direct it, it better be for the highest and best good, because those that aren't doing it for the highest and best good are getting called out, getting in trouble, getting sick, getting hurt, because that's part of it. I don't pretend to know what I don't know. But I don't appreciate people saying, don't pretend to know something either, because it comes to me when I need it. It comes to me just in time. And if I went and read all your books, and we had a debate for centuries about which one was right and which one was wrong, and which parts of one could be contrived from here and then applied over here, and then this one is part of that one already, and we'd have this big reconciliation party, and at the end of the day, what would we have? Would we have world peace? Would we have, like, everyone happy? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not how it goes. But the people that have divided in history, not recent history either. I mean, we're talking like, we got 2,000 years of corruption at least. In recent times, we have 2,000 years of corruption. But the ones that have convoluted it, have tried to channel, like, and direct it, not channel, but like, take the selective parts that they want and make it into, like, what they need to advance an agenda that might not be, it may not supposed to be advanced. That agenda might have needed to die on the vine. We have a history of at least 2,000 years of governments and kings and, you know, religious leaders and organizations doing that. And we don't need to do more of it to get out of it. We need to abandon it and go back to the basics, I think. And the basics don't have much to do with asking me how I know things or what, like, it just, and there's others that are inspired and, you know, have the spirit ear, if you want to put it that way. I get nervous even using a word because it just is triggering to someone, and it's so ridiculous when you think about, like, mythology basically causing that problem, dividing us. Mythology is generous on some days. When you think of, like, biblical stories that have tax implications is my example. Like, I don't even have an opinion about one, but it's like, oh, so the moral of the story is good people pay their taxes. You know, like, that level of criticism needs to be applied to everything you take in, because some of these things are just meant to morph, control, and destroy the very essence that we all are. And we don't need that crap. We don't need that help from anyone. We got enough. We get enough people trying to do that. We get enough organizations trying to do that. So don't come after the messengers. Just listen to what they have to say. Take it in. Spit it out. Get rid of it. It doesn't, that's for you to do. Use your discernment always, but you have to do that with what you're getting in your mind's eye. Your mind's eye. Your third eye. Your connection. Your antenna. Because that's what it is. And some of you have been shut down for too long, and I was shut down for too long, but don't deny that it's a thing. You're shut down, and somebody shut you down. Some government, some chemical you eat, something like that. It's not, you don't have to go all religious on this either, okay? Controlling people has been a thing for 2,000 plus years, right? More than that. It goes back to the roots of the universe. It goes back to light and dark. But if your antenna is shut off and you want it to be on, there are ways to do that. And if you want to not take the blue pill or the red pill, I don't know, I mashed them up, I took them both. That's probably what happened. I do remember several points of time where I realized exactly what life was and what it wasn't, or what this experience was and what it wasn't. I am not all pure. They were not all pure. The way I came through it, the way I came about it, I will share at certain points, but it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. And it's not like some cosmic secret either. It's available to everyone. You just have to think about it with yourself long enough that you don't talk yourself out of it. Okay? And not everything that comes to your mind, to your antenna, is pure. There are frequencies that are coming all the time. Look, I don't know if you can see these antennas over here everywhere. On every house, on every rooftop, there are antennas. You are an antenna. Right here, to here, and inside, right in the middle. And if it's shut off, you're not getting reception. And maybe that's good because you're not having to filter things, but it's also not good because you're not alive and you're not living and you're not part of the experiment, you're not part of the collective consciousness that is communicating. We are communicating. If you don't believe it, why does everybody yawn at the same time? You're in a room and everybody just starts yawning. Circadian rhythm. Why, you don't have access to the sunlight, but you still know night and day. Like, there's science that will validate our function and the mechanics of it. You can ignore it. That's fine. But I would be weary of the people that are trying to control it, that are explaining it with 100%, this is what it is, which is what some, organizations really do. I would be concerned of them because I don't think anyone has it 100%. And when you tap in to the collective that is getting it and communicating with each other and sharing and feeling each other, you will get it and feel it and contribute. You can smell a fake a mile away, but the people pointing are often either fake or the ones that are trying to manipulate it to their advantage, maybe sometimes too. That's a universal law, though, and you don't need a book, okay? There's enough for everyone, and if your intention is that you need to take something from someone else to have it, it's foiled from the beginning. It is set up to fail in a bad way from the beginning. Karma is very real. And unfortunately, it's ancestral, like the cycles and like the karma lessons that are learned and don't learn get passed down in DNA and in spirit, and just because it's not manifested for you yet, it might manifest for your kids. Imagine being like the child of a serial killer. Imagine just the pressure they would get in life being associated with, somebody that killed kids, somebody that sold kids. And then they had a kid. Proof now that generational feelings and they call it junk DNA, but that's exactly the agenda I'm talking about. It's proven in science that stuff is transmitting through DNA that, just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean it's junk. Something like, I think it was 12 or 13 generations of, and I had an experience, I had a vision of not just the location, but of the feeling of my biological mother, her dread. I had a feeling of it before I even met her. And when I went and saw, I drove down the road of where she lived when I was born, and the sign that was there at the time, not exactly the sign that was there now, but I described it later, and was it kind of like wooden instead, and was it there's an arrow on it? And she didn't, where did that come from? It came from her. She was so upset and so in angst about the situation. She drove herself to the hospital with me, and no one knew. And I came out, she was bleeding as she drove to the hospital. And I remember going back to where she lived at the time and where the turn was, to her home. And I just remember, it aligning with a story she told me, but I already had the vision and been there when the story came out, and it was like this reconciliation of unexplained memories being transferred. Didn't know her my whole life. How would I have known what she would be like either? And it happened with my father in a different way too. I had a vision of something very kind of bad that was then later told to me as a story, and it was exactly what I had already seen. And I have proof. I told somebody before this happened, before I met him, I told him all about it, and then it came true. It's inside you. It's inside you. And if you aren't transmuting it, if you aren't breaking it, if it's bad, then you're just gonna keep repeating or feeling the feelings of it until you can break it and replace it. What might have been acceptable to survive in 200 years ago isn't quite acceptable now. But yet, the past ancestors look at now with disgust in a different way. I really do believe that, this is deep. The narratives that come up are just eye for an eye automatically. You're the judge, the jury, and you carry out the punishment as well. No. Don't do that. And for those of you that do it, how sure are you've got it right? There's a reason why somebody sits on death row for 12 years or 20 years before, you want to be freaking sure. Okay, that's what not kill, I know there's religious there, but it's kind of universal. You don't have to say it that way to believe it. And that is one of the consistent messages written in different ways in all of the books. And we could fight about it, but why? Why not just say, you don't kill someone? And if you do, is the clause, right? You don't take it in your own hands. You don't take it in your own hands. I understand death penalty. I get it. I haven't been called to judge on it. That's not my job. That's also why it's not your job for an eye to kill someone, because you become the judge, the jury, and you are also the punishment. None of us are supposed to play that role, yet we do. Some of us have tried a lot harder than others to not be judgmental, to not judge. But that doesn't mean that your haters aren't judging you for not judging. And how can you fight back without judging their judgment? That's right. You're in a circle of judgment. All you can do is point it out. We weren't meant to have the single say in someone else's life. We weren't. You want to take that power, go meet your maker. And if you think you don't have a maker, I don't know what to say to you. How are we here? What do you believe in? You believe in nothing? We came from somewhere. Okay? Aliens aren't even fringe anymore. They're us. They're a different version of us, from the past or the present. They're a different species. You ever think of, I can't even go there. It's so clear. It's so clear. If you sit in and think and talk to yourself about the pyramids, about the fact that our history is not 6,000 years old, but it's proven that it's millions of years old, that we could be gone in a minute, and yet it would just start over. We are a cycle within a cycle. And it's time to change because the cycle's ending. Just sit with yourself and understand why do we have so many calendars? Why do we do that to ourselves? Belief and control systems have made those things different to divide us for a reason. And you have to pick a side to know that they're all right and they're all wrong. And you don't have to be the Antichrist to say that. And the fact that there's a thing that says that the person that collapses religion will be the Antichrist tells you everything you need to know about the control structure of free thinking, wanting to suppress somebody from saying, hey, we're not divided. No one's 100% pure. No one's 100% evil. We also are all one. When you collapse the timelines, when you collapse the feelings, the emotions, the situations, everything we've been through, when you realize that you've been in a situation, that you were this role and now you're a different role, and you're seeing it from the other perspective, we've all had that in some form, right? If you're not paying attention, if you haven't noticed that, we're here to learn lessons. This place that so many of us are missing out on because we're doing stupid crap that doesn't deserve our attention, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, is commanding our attention over just being and learning the lessons we need to learn. And when we learn all the lessons, when every story has been told, when every situation has played out, and everyone's played every role, what happens? The cycle's over, it collapses. The sun comes out, and we get some peace for a while. But if you keep hating, if you keep living in fear, if you keep coming from a place of fear, then you fall into the old narratives and you don't break the cycles and you don't get the break and the peace. There is enough for everyone. There really is. You don't have to go take it from somebody else. You just have to create and not destroy, and know that if you do that, at every turn, if you take the high road and not break these rules that govern us, like stealing and coveting and killing, eventually you'll get to the top of that mountain. Conversely, if you go the wrong way at every turn, and somebody throws you literally a lifeboat and you choose to pop it instead of getting in, well, that has an outcome too. And we'll see you in the next cycle. It's not over like it's over the way you think it's over. You think all this is just for show, and then you go and sit in a hole in the ground? There isn't, like, your antenna just gets retired and there's nothing inside you that lives on. No, we're here, and then this goes away and it goes somewhere else. It's going somewhere right now. I don't even have to have this Wi-Fi connection, or there's no 4G even here, which is why I'm here. Your brain, your experiences, everything is syncing to the clouds or the moon or whatever you want to believe. But your learnings, your not learnings, they go somewhere. And if you reproduce and leave a child here, they go on to them too, the good and the bad. And while some of us probably won't have a kid, thank God, ooh, some others really should use some scrutiny and make sure that you're not causing cycles to be repeated. You're not deferring something to somebody down your line, and it doesn't have to get so bad that they have to correct it, that there's no other choice, that they have to come and correct it. It backs up, and it's time to let it all go. It's time for it to be undone. The truth will come to the light, no matter how painful it is. But you'll get over it. You'll get over it.
Calzone!